You know what was missing
It's
from
your
this
chance to
version?
do your dance at the Space Jam. What was missing?
There
Everything?
was a distinct lack of R. Kelly in the soundtrack. I don't understand why there was no R. Kelly in the soundtrack to this one.
It's almost like he's been blacklisted from the entertainment community for some reason.
Did something go on with R. Kelly? What is?
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Just
Okay.
don't worry about it.
All right, let's give this a start.
No, nothing's going on with R. Kelly.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast Movie Show. That is the movie review podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I am one of your co-hosts.
And I am your other co-host that purchases basketball shoes to not play basketball in distance.
And tonight is the Metacast Movie Show about Space Jam: A New Legacy. Space Jam: A New Legacy is a 2021 sports it calls it a comedy. It's directed by Malcolm D. Lee, and there were a lot of writers on this. Yeah, I left out the written. Yeah, there was like a section of 6 names there was story by, and then like 5 names that were screenplay by. Like, I'm not listing all of them. There was a lot of writers on this.
Okay, I have thoughts on that, but we'll get to those in a minute. It stars LeBron James, Don Cheadle, Cedric Joe, and Chris Davis.
With a budget of around $150 million, this so far has a box office take of around $53.2 million. And then, of course, I'm sure, because it also released on HBO Max, I'm sure that they paid something as well, but undisclosed.
The tomato meter rating is it's 31% with an audience score of 81%.
That is one of the larger differences between the tomato and the audience meter we've seen in a while. And I have noticed very consistently the critics are much less forgiving. The audience normally tends to rate things a lot higher. So this movie is set mostly in the virtual Warner Brothers serververse, where you get to see all of the cool Warner Brothers properties. Space Jam: A New Legacy follows LeBron James as he teams up with Looney Tunes to win a basketball game in order to rescue his son that was kidnapped by an artificial intelligence. Yes, it needs a storyline that convoluted that it makes it so much better. Trust me. I feel like I say this quite often, but I've been purposefully not watching a lot of stuff going into movies just to give myself not really many expectations. I went into this pretty much, I hadn't even seen a trailer yet. This is actually, I think, the first time I've seen any of the trailers. Watching this right now, I had no idea what to expect going into this. I wanted to like it, honestly. I feel like I gave it a fair shot. I do have to recognize that I am just obviously not the target audience for this. This is a kids movie. I will make a distinction between like a family movie and a kids movie. I think like the example that I'm always going to go to is Shrek. I think Shrek is a great example of a family movie. Sure, it's appropriate for kids, but there is also enough substance there. There's enough going on there that someone of any age can watch that and enjoy it. I think there's something very different about Space Jam: A New Legacy. I do not think that for some reason it seems like it is just the kids level of entertainment, where almost like you see with kind of like lazy Saturday morning cartoons where it's like, they're 6. They're not really going to think too much about the plot. Just put this in there. Honestly, like, I felt like I was watching a 2-hour-long commercial for a lot of it, and commercials can be entertaining. I mean, that's probably my favorite part of the Super Bowl, but their core purpose is not to entertain you. It is to sell you something. And it feels like a lot of this was like, we need to do this for the merchandisation. We need to do this to sell this. Even the self-referential humor that the original was really good at, a lot of this just felt kind of phoned in and lazy. The redeeming factor for me was the animation. I thought that a lot of it looked really cool, both the actual like design of characters and the way the characters move. The actual animation of those characters was well done. But that was not enough to redeem it for me, really, at all. References to other properties that you like don't make a good movie. You can ask Ready Player One. That's not gonna save your movie just by showing people other things they think is cool. So again, like I said, I'm definitely not the target audience for this, and I realize that. I also think that viewers, anyone that would be listening to me, is also not really in that target audience. I feel like it's mainly a kids movie. I think that, not to, I don't mean this in like a negative way, but it's like, sure, if you're 8, you may love this. But I don't really know. I don't think I know any 8-year-olds that are going to be watching me on Twitch or YouTube. So I think I can very confidently give this one a no for my recommendation. What about you? Where did you land on this?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, in order to soften the blow from Ty's review, I will do nothing. I don't think that the blow should be softened at all. A lot of people said, actually, I think Big Dog, I think he's in our chat right now. Aren't you the one that recommended to us not to watch the original before this?
That was Barry.
That was you. It was,
that was Barry. Yeah.
So I didn't watch the original Space Jam. The thing is that, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. I think Michael Jordan was a good actor because he was very much a brand, and there was a lot of kind of sort of an acting or polish that he had to add to his sort of image. And I think that because of that, Jordan he did well in the first movie, just sort of from a basic kind of acting perspective. LeBron tends to be fairly genuine. I think that he holds back a bit in the public spotlight, but I don't think that acting's something that he does well. Jordan was also in several commercials in which he had to do some acting, so he had learned some things before he did the film. There's a lot of
he was in that commercial where he rocked the Hitler mustache. Do you remember that?
Wait, what?
That was,
no
dude,
way.
Yeah,
was he really?
I'm gonna have to edit in that on screen somewhere. But yeah, it was really awkward. He had a little like toothbrush mustache in a commercial. I was like, did he do that just because he can? Like, what the hell?
Okay, I'm gonna need to see that. I will immediately be watching this after that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sure you just saw it. So, wow, that is hilarious. But there's a lot of the problems I have about the movie are from outside the movie. What is the point? Like, why do we need to compare people? Why does it have to be the next Elvis or the next Eminem or the next Venus or Serena Williams? Like, why does it have to be the next Andre Agassi? The new Wayne Gretzky, the next whatever. I don't get it. Why does LeBron have to be the new Jordan? He's not. He's another athlete with a different style of play who plays for completely different teams that's made different decisions in his career. There was really no reason to do this. To call it Space Jam, not necessary. I think it's a marketing game, honestly. To call it a new legacy, ridiculous. Why? And I'm not disparaging LeBron James as an athlete. He performs extremely well. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was great in a film. And I feel like it was just capitalizing on his image in a way that I don't necessarily think was okay. Yeah. But I don't blame the athlete himself. I think that some people told him that this was a good idea. And I think that he trusted those people. And that's okay because he's an athlete, not an actor. The movie business is not a thing that he understands. I don't understand it as intimately as a creator does, a filmmaker. But I echo basically everything Ty said. The market's younger people. The animation was pretty cool. Yeah, I actually liked it. If you enjoy Warner films and the franchise, it is kind of fun to sort of pick out the different characters that you kind of see here and there without spoiling too much. I think that if you're a parent and you're watching it with your kids, there's a couple little tidbits that will amuse you. But like Ty said, like they're not great. They're not as good as they were in the first movie. And the storyline is ridiculous. You can't have the Monstars like you did in the first one. And it's funny because while I'm talking about not comparing one thing to another, the difference here is it has the word Space Jam in it.
Yeah.
So
they entered it into that competition, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. And so like the comparison has to be there because this is essentially a cheap, badly done sequel. Like honestly, like I think wasn't that actually LeBron's wife that was in the film?
I have no idea.
Oh wait, no, that's not her.
Yeah,
That's
I was
not
about to
her
say,
at all.
with how bad the act, I hate saying stuff about kids, but like I don't also think the Cedric Joe did not do a great job as Dom, and it's like with how bad that was, I thought that was just his real son. I was like, oh, it's cool they at least cast his actual sons. Nope, that's apparently an actor. Okay.
They actually even changed his wife's name. She has a different name in the billing for the film.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I thought she did a pretty good job. But here's a problem though. I don't think this is going to spoil it for anybody because anyone that's watching us has already probably done some looking. Don Cheadle, he actually ruins the movie because he's too good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Even Don Cheadle, like he did a couple scenes where he turned the cheese up a little bit, but the problem was they should not have put a reputable actor in the movie because he basically just made everyone else look bad. And Don Cheadle, I think, actually did a great job in this movie. I recognize I'm being really long-winded because there's a lot of things that I'm kind of touching on with it, but I was not impressed. The dialogue was ridiculous. The story was ridiculous. But once again, like we both recognize we're not the market. But as Ty said, and I didn't think about this, but it's true. As Ty said, if you're watching us, you're not the market either. And hey, look, I can just so you know, like I'm not talking any trash about LeBron. Like that's a pair of LeBron 18s. There's two pairs of LeBron 17s right there, and you got a pair of what? They're not pairs, sorry. The right shoe, and that's a LeBron 11. I put those all there on purpose. I don't actually care about basketball, really. The only thing that I love about basketball players is that companies come out with really cool shoes because of basketball players. So I mean, that's the thing. Like okay, you know what? I'm just going to go on and on with this to a point where it'll kill everyone's attention span. There's more ranting that we're both going to do. We're essentially going to eviscerate this movie. Probably. So if you want to stick around and listen to us absolutely lay into a movie really, really hard, obviously my answer is no. For the love of God, please don't watch this.
Yeah, don't do it to yourself.
If you have kids, go get the original Space Jam, watch that with them, in fact. Maybe don't even waste your time with this. Like, your kids probably have better taste than this.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, you brought up something when you were talking there about how, like, Don Cheadle turned up the cheese and and yes, he definitely did. But there was something that I noticed differently about those scenes, that when he was doing cheesy, it did not feel nearly as cringy as the rest of the movie. There was a lot of it that, like, of course, it's this kid's movie that is supposed to feel a little cheesy, a little corny. It should not make me cringe, though. It should be fun. And that's where, like, a lot of it, it's just like it went past the fun cheesy right into cringe territory. It was like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel good. But let's talk more about that territory by bringing out this little guy right here. He's a big fan of LeBron, actually. So I don't know if he liked our reviews of this movie, but Spoiler Terry is just get out of here. He's now out, so we're gonna go into spoiler territory of this movie, and oh my god, there's not even anything to spoil in this, really. Like,
not really.
I wish, like, if I could come up with one sentence right now, it's like the Looney Tunes win at the end. Like, like what?
It's like find a way to make LeBron will play basketball. A thing happens to make LeBron play basketball. Looney Tunes play with him. Good guys win. Nike advertisement.
Yeah. They tried way too hard with the plot to make it make sense in some way, where they had to like bring in like, oh, well, his son gets kidnapped and we need to care about. But one of the main things about that, like in the original one, so it was just like introduce the concept of, hey, Bugs and the rest of the team have to play this basketball game. They're going to go get Michael Jordan to help them. It's like, okay, that makes sense in the universe you've created for me here. You don't need to go deeper than that and give it anything else to make sense. It's like that was enough. For some reason, they have to build this whole universe of like, well, no, he's having a problem with his son because his son wants to play video games and he wants him to play basketball and he wants to go to this camp. And with the performances of those two actors, never once did I give a fuck about any of that. And that's what I'm supposed to care about in the movie, apparently. And it was just no part of me gave any little bit of a care about that.
Same, man. Like I had no investment in the plot whatsoever. And it's like, I can't, okay. For the fact that there were 6 writers, I feel like that's the reason why. Because I think that if you look at the original film, And I think if you look at the formula for a lot of films that are intended for a younger audience, kids, there isn't a plot arc. It's kind of like a plot peak.
Yeah.
It just goes like, whoo, ooh,
yep,
ooh, and then like that's that. You don't need to have any complexity to it.
Yeah, just
and
keep it simple. Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because Don Cheadle, even with the cheese, he's such a good actor that he can't cover up his abilities. Like he can try to act badly, but I don't think it's possible. There's plenty of other people that are just the same. I mean, you got Michael Fassbender is a young one that I really like. Anthony Hopkins, Alec Baldwin. I mean, talk whatever shit you want to about the guy, but the guy can fucking act. There's a lot of talented actors out there that even when they try to do badly, their talent and skill shows through. And it's almost like Don Cheadle was. It's almost like he knew. He's like, okay, I'm in a movie with an athlete. I need to do something to try to not make that person look bad. It would be like the equivalent of if LeBron and Don Cheadle played a one-on-one game. LeBron would for sure go easy on Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
I mean, all he'd have to do is like dunk on Don Cheadle one time and Don Cheadle would disintegrate. And so would I, honestly. And I think that it's that I love almost all the work that I can think of that Don Cheadle has done. But he was a bad cast for this movie. It was a terrible idea. They should have put, you know what? Lil Rel should have done that role instead of his tiny announcer role.
I could have seen. I also like
Lil Rel would have been awesome, actually. I think in that role.
I don't know who I even envision voicing it, but I don't even think it needed to be a live action character. Like it could have just been the animated character the entire time. Like I don't know if Al. I mean, first of all, I cringe algorithm. I think that is just horrible. Like maybe that's fine for a kids movie, I guess. But it's like that's one of the points where it was like, all right, really, like that's. Okay, that's where we're going. All right, let's accept that and just move on. And then like everything that character did was just more like, all right, why is this the plot? Where is this going? Like,
yeah, like sucking people into the computer. Everyone's going to be stuck in the computer if they don't win. Well, if you want them to be stuck in the computer world or whatever you call it, serververse, just leave them there. Yeah. Why does there have to be a basketball game? Like none of it really makes sense. And, you know, there were cameos, spoilers for the original Space Jam if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't, shame on you.
True.
Bill Murray shows up at the end, which is awesome. That's the beginning of his long career of cameos, both in real life and in film. And, you know, the funny thing is I haven't glanced at my notes a single time.
Nobody will believe you. Have you heard the
yes, the Fry one? And the funny thing is that I wondered, like, is this a meta encounter? Like, are they saying that Bill Murray ate one of their fries and said no one will believe you because it really didn't happen and no one believes you? My brain's crumbling. I need to stop right now. Did you find it like kind of silly? They seem to be really heavy-handed on the whole like life lesson thing.
Yes, to the point where like you can't just let the story show you that. It has to like literally driving it. Yeah, that's another thing where it's like that made me wonder, like, okay, is that necessary for a younger audience to make them understand that? Or even like a kid watching that would be like, okay, I get it. Like, it's a little obvious, like a little tact, please.
I almost feel like maybe we're being unfair by even reviewing this movie.
Honestly, like, yeah, it is like, it's not, but also, I mean, okay, so let's go back to my analogy, like, you know, let's compare it to Shrek. Movies that are well made, but are also appropriate for children. You don't have to sacrifice all of the quality of the writing, of the performance. You don't have to sacrifice so much to make a product that is just for children. You can make something that is like well made all around, and sure, it's appropriate for children. Children are going to love it, but the parents taking their children to see it are not going to hate themselves for 2 hours while they have to sit through it. That's like, we've done that with many movies. I don't know why Space Jam: A New Legacy just completely missed the boat on that, but like, unless I'm just way off base, then yeah, it does seem like literally like if your child is going to make you watch this, you're going to hate it. I don't like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, and maybe I realize that as far as the audience goes, I am in the minority. I mean, it has an 81% audience score right now. I don't know if that is gamed by something else. Let's pull out the tinfoil hats. Like, is that being inflated by something? Like, is there a bot campaign that upvoted this a bunch of times or something? Like, or is that actual just legit numbers out there? Is it a lot of 8-year-olds that have accounts on Rotten Tomatoes possibly that are upvoting it and their parents are not? Like, who knows? But I do think that, like, there's obviously some people out there that completely disagree with us and think that this was fine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even better than fine. It's funny. I don't know if you heard me tapping on my keyboard. I was Googling the writers. I wanted to see if George Lucas was involved in this for the dialogue. Apparently not.
He wrote under a pseudonym.
Yeah. Oh, he must be, what's the worst name on here?
Fanny Longbottom.
Oh, that must be him. Hugh G. Rection.
It's a good name.
IP freely. Okay. I'm just there. I am somewhat speechless on like where to start.
Yeah.
I mean, while it was funny, it was also ridiculous that when he lands in the cartoon world, the crater he makes is in the shape of a Nike symbol.
Yep. There's a lot of these little references in it that are just, they're not good to me, in my opinion, at least. Like that's one that I thought was really cheesy because, I mean, one, it's basically just product placement. It's not even like a reference to stuff. But then when there's the references to the other properties and things, that it's like so much of it is literally just, hey, remember this exists? You're like, yeah, I do. And that's the whole use of it. Like, sure, part of me smiled when the Pennywise in the background was just awkwardly standing there and looking at other people, but it's like that does not increase my enjoyment whatsoever or redeem anything else that's going on. I'm just like, hey, I know who that character is.
It's like, hey, we made this, like this. Yeah, you're right. I mean, because I even listed it out. Let's see, we have DC animation, we have Mad Max, we have Austin Powers, we have Casablanca, we have Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, which I hate, by the way, The Matrix, Wonder Woman.
That's DC.
And
it's still
there you go. Back to DC.
Yeah, covered in that same umbrella, but yeah.
And there was one reference I actually thought was kind of funny, but it happens really quick. When LeBron comes out of the crater and his like legs are kind of compressed or whatever, and he says, "I'm shorter than Kevin Hart."
Yeah, that was
But the reason why that's funny though is like you are aware of Kevin Hart in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Like where he just like talks shit to athletes, just like stands up and like
yeah.
So I thought that one was a little funny, but I didn't like throw my head back. I was like, wait, what did he say? And I reminded, I was like, oh yeah, Kevin Hart, because he talks all the shit to the NBA athletes. Okay, that's okay. That's not a bad reference.
There was another reference that I thought was not necessarily horrible, but it points to the problem that I have as well. When Granny says game blouses, did you get that reference?
Oh yeah, that's Chappelle, right?
Yeah, that was okay. You can't have the best jokes in your movie just be stolen jokes from other things and references to other things. You know what I mean? Like, if there was a lot else going on in the movie that is also funny and well written, then I can forgive that. But when it's like, when the funniest parts are like a joke of like referencing Kevin Hart and then another one referencing an old Chappelle skit and things like that, it's like a lot of my enjoyment's getting sucked out by realizing that it's like, wow, this literally is just like riding on like, okay, all these other references and things that came before it, rather than it's like its own IP, like which it's already huge. It's already Space Jams that has the Looney Tunes and everything in it. Like, there's enough there that they could have done something really interesting and really entertaining, rather than having to be like, oh no, let's use this reference and this and this.
Yeah, I guess now that I realize it, it required everything else to be anything.
Yeah.
That it's nothing, it's almost completely nothing without the existence of all the other stuff that it's leaning on, including the Space Jam, like the original Space Jam film. Yep. It's like, if we were going to put LeBron in a film, if we had to do it, why was it this? And also, who the hell is he paying to advise him on his career when this is the shit that they have him doing? Which, like, dude, like, honestly, I almost feel bad for the guy. Like I
Yeah.
really kind of do.
I feel.
I mean, hey, uh, good on you, Don Cheadle, for having something to do with it, but you made everybody look like shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Where you're pointing out the all references thing, I want to go back to that because it's like this is exactly the problem that I have with fan fiction and why I don't like it, because it's like very often all it is like someone that is, and I'm sure there are great fan fiction writers out there. But more often than not, it is a like subpar to mediocre writer that the only reason people are really into it is because you are referencing things that they already like, an IP that they already have an attachment to, and they want something else in that universe. Not that it's like you're some brilliant creative mind that is coming up with your own stuff. That is what this movie felt like, was just like fan fiction basically.
I didn't really think about it until like you mentioned it, but really, like, I would say almost 100% of the enjoyment I got out of any part of the film was all something else. Like I was like, in my notes I have, is that a fucking gremlin? Well,
Yeah.
cool, because I like Gremlins. The MC Hammer reference was pretty funny.
Yep.
But MC Hammer, and wasn't he on Warner Brothers Records?
Probably. That's probably how they were able to use that. Yeah.
It's like how the first Transformers film was a Pepsi and a General Motors commercial.
Well, and
Like-
honestly, like another great example too, how the original Transformers were just a cartoon to sell toys. Like that's kind
true.
of like coming full circle. It's like that's really all we're seeing is like, okay, how do we use media to push merchandise? Like,
Lest we forget Power Rangers.
yeah,
Which
this movie even for the first time in a long time, this movie had a actual like licensed video game. Movies don't do that anymore, because that is like, that's completely died out, and now it's like, nope, we're back to that, where they're gonna try to sell like a licensed side-scrolling beat 'em up game based on Space Jam: A New Legacy, because that's what we needed.
do you remember the game Shaq Fu?
Yeah, oh my god, yes. Yeah. Yep.
It's a Shaquille O'Neal fighting game.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my shit.
These are things that happened in the 90s. Yep.
So okay. This is kind of putting you on the spot here because there's a lot of choices, but
Oh, God.
I want to compare notes because I already have an answer to this one. What for you was the cringiest portion of the entire film?
Oh god. Man, I was cringing for a lot of this. Like, okay, portion wise, well, all right. The hip hop bonus round, I think.
Oh, dude, me too.
Yeah, Porky rapping and all of the like. He just spit straight bars, didn't he? Like that's yeah.
And the dude, he said something about like spitting hot fire, and like I feel like
it was pretty bad.
I don't know, man. Like there's this almost, well, back to our theme, meta. There's like this meta layer of wrongness to that for me.
Yeah, I feel
on like a lot of levels. I feel like I don't think there's any other term for it other than it just seems culturally insensitive to me. It doesn't seem like it and the way they did it,
and like lazy too. Like not even and lazy too. Like not even well done cultural insensitivity. Just like real lazy, ham-fisted. Like, hey, let's make a rap section with Porky Pig.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's like when Sugar Hill Gang first came out and people didn't really understand rap because Sugar Hill Gang actually didn't really represent the community of rapping, like where it actually came from. Like, Kool Herc and what were those guys called? There's this group of dudes. There were a couple groups over in the Northeast. I can't remember. I'll remember their name later. But basically, Rapper's Delight was not really representative of the rest of the community that was actually participating in what later kind of became rap before it really had a solid name. So like there was like this stuff where all of a sudden everybody was rapping.
Yeah.
Like rapping mom, like rapping grandma. I think what's his name? Rodney Dangerfield, I think, did a rap thing. And it was just this horrible like misunderstanding and like sort of taking an idea and running with it of something that was sort of misrepresented by a public image of it. And to me, like it reminded me of that.
And
kind
somehow
of
40
thing.
years later, we're still doing that apparently. Like, yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you're gonna do that, at least have someone reputable voice it.
Yeah, sure.
You know what? I bet you a lot. I'm trying to think of someone that would be able to do it. I bet you a lot of Money Logic could do a pretty good Porky Pig impression.
That'd be interesting to hear.
I bet
Kendrick can change his voice a lot. I wonder if he could sound like Porky.
that's true. I would. It would have been better if they just had 2 Chainz do it. Like he was just Porky the whole time, and then we'd be talking shit about his acting skills.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's like, Missy Elliott.
The thing is, like, that section, even if they fix that section or completely cut that section, I don't think I dislike the movie any less. That is, like, by that point, I was already so checked out on it, and obvious, like, that was not at all tipping the scales. It was like the scales had already broken to one side by the time that showed up in the movie. That is, we haven't even really talked about, way too long for what it is. There was no need for this to be 2 hours. This could have been right under an hour and a half and been paced so much better. But
yeah, and just to add another metaphor, there was no putting another nail in the coffin because the coffin was already buried.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
that's a good way of wording that. I like that. Yeah.
By the time we got to the Porky scene, but yeah, you're 100% correct, dude. Because like I just like zoned out. Like at like an hour, maybe an hour, at some change. I paused the movie. I called my girlfriend to vent. I was like, I have another hour of this fucking garbage.
Ow.
She's like,
the basketball game just started and I'm an hour in. This movie is about the basketball game. Like, what have I done for the past hour?
And there was no like preparation, none of the. Okay, dare I say it? The original had better character development, and we already knew one of the characters pretty well.
And
one of the other things, we knew most of the characters.
Oh yeah, and one of the other things too is like the original is not great. I mean, it's like, I enjoy it. It is a much better kids movie. But really, when you look at it, it still also has plenty of problems. It's just when you put it next to this atrocity, like all of a sudden those become a lot more forgivable, and it looks a lot better. But it is like it is not some great piece of film. They just like they knew what they were doing. They embraced what they were making, and they left it at that. Rather than like the new movie company thing is like having to overproduce it, overmake it, like make all of these extra decisions, make the plot some convoluted thing. Like, luckily they didn't have to do that with the first one. I think that's what made it pretty decent and much better than this one. Which it feels like, yeah, literally, like, I mean, I feel like an out of touch older white dude talking about it, but it feels like so many of the decisions of this decisions made for this movie were just like even more old and out of touch white dudes sitting around a boardroom table. That it's like the hip hop bonus round and so many other things that it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to put this in there because that'll sell this, and make sure we do this and make sure we do it. Like, it didn't feel like at all art. It never felt like it was like, oh, this is someone's vision they want to show me. It was just a lot of like, yeah, lot of not good stuff.
Yeah, man. I sometimes when I have too much to say, I begin to stutter. But I would like to raise a point that's not Okay, wait. Now I'll get to that in a minute. I would like to raise a point that's not exactly related to the film, but more our show.
Okay.
We accidentally did several Amy Adams films, and
true. I
kind of feel like Lil Rel is hit that point on our podcast also, because we did Get Out. I didn't really know anything about Get Out other than the fact that it would weird me out. We didn't exactly know he was going to be in Fatherhood with Kevin Hart.
True.
And there was a Kevin Hart reference in this movie, and Lil Rel just shows up out of nowhere.
We almost did. There was one movie in between, but you're like, the whole thing with Amy Adams is we ended up accidentally doing 2 of her movies back to back without even paying attention. We almost did that with this. You are 100% right. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I think that we maybe need to just start making a point that when because I think because like I didn't like the character necessarily that he played in Fatherhood, but I think Lil Rel is fantastic. I think the guy does fantastic work. I think
Same.
that the roles that they cast him for, he's perfect for them. While I didn't necessarily love we kind of disagreed on that because I read the character differently in Fatherhood than you did, but he still did a great job playing that character,
I agree.
and he fucking stole it in Get Out.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
The few moments that he's on camera, like he owns that shit. Like it's the camera, the lens is his. Like, and I think he did great in this. Like he actually, the few parts I really liked were when he was on film. I was like, oh, Lil Rel again, and then I'm like, oh, it's Don Cheadle making everybody look. Dude.
What's up,
dude?
What happened?
How embarrassing.
What happened?
So I think, I'm not certain, but it was funny because I know I felt so dumb because like you've had like connectivity problems a couple times in the past. So like I type in the chat like, is the stream frozen for anyone else? And it's like connecting to chat. I'm like, what?
Is it me?
I was like, oh God. I was like, nobody can hear me. So
I was doing the same thing. I was assuming that it was me, and I was like, "Oh shit, am I frozen? Hold on, this says I'm streaming still."
Oh, okay. So everything's cool now. So I think, I don't know for sure, and I don't know how their system is set up, but I looked at my account, and my payment, I completely forgot to pay my bill last month.
That sucks.
Like it's due on the 28th. Like the next bill for this month is due on the 28th. So I was like, oh shit. So it was like, well, to avoid disconnection, and he's like, pay this much. I'm like, okay, fine. So I thought like, are they like throttling or like making it spotty right now because I have not paid my bill? Because I haven't gotten any notifications on my phone. So like I paid it, and not 5 minutes later, everything's fine.
I wonder if they do that. That's interesting.
But I've never experienced that before. Like, it was very strange. Actually, let me make sure I'm connected to the right radio. Yeah, okay, or not radio, the right bandwidth. Okay, yeah. Everything's cool. Everything's cool now. So where were we? Okay, well, Lee, I really appreciate that. Like, I thank you very much. But I don't deserve your sympathy, my friend, because I forgot to pay my bill.
No sympathy for the disty.
Yeah. Like an absolute shithead. And like the thing is, yeah, I know people forget to pay their bills.
You're a deadbeat internet owner. Oh my God.
You're right. I can't even pay my internet support payments.
I remember exactly what we were talking about though. I even did the research. Unfortunately, there is no movie with Amy Adams and Lil Rel in it together. They are separated by exactly 2 degrees on the degrees meter. There's one movie that links them, but yeah, they've never been in a movie together though. But if they're ever together in a movie, we have to watch it. I think that's like kind of our destiny. Yeah, we
must. I 100% agree on that one.
I would love to see them as like the romantic leads in a movie. Like it's literally like Lil Rel and Amy Adams are a couple together, and it's just like some cheesy rom-com. Like I would love that.
That would be fucking hilarious. Like the one with Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. I never saw that one, but those two seem like the same type of pair.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Actually,
it's that
movie.
Fucking like it's the dynamic that's in so many shows and like I mean for like Homer and Marge, Peter and Lois, like there's always like kind of the guy that I don't know what term I'm trying to use here though, but it looks like the wife is just kind of out of their league, and it's like there's that kind of dynamic that happens so often. Like yeah, they could play that really well. The same thing in that Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen movie, where it's just kind of like that's kind of the whole like meme they're embracing is like, how did this guy get this woman?
Pretty horror. Hey everybody, let's do Hitch again.
Yeah, basically.
So I wanted to mention one thing. So we're already in spoiler Terry, all up in spoiler Terry right now. When they quote found Michael Jordan, I heard that. I was like, oh my God, the movie's saved. And I was immediately like, you know what? I bet you it's Michael B. Jordan. And then it's Michael B. Jordan, and I'm like, but hey, Michael B. Jordan's really good. Wait, no, where's Michael B. Jordan going?
Yeah.
No, come back, like,
Yep.
please. And I was like, because Michael Jordan would have saved it because he's, the original Space Jam guy, so it would have been fun to have him. And they're like, you got excited, and I'm going to spoil Blade Runner, by the way. If you haven't seen Blade Runner 2049, turn this off and come back or skip ahead. When Harrison Ford shows up in Blade Runner 2049, you get excited because he was, but honestly, I don't know if they could afford Michael. And even then, I'm not sure if he even is fucking interested anymore. He's like, I'm
going to go ahead and say, like, just like we were talking about with removing the hip hop bonus round, that would not have saved it for me. Sure, I would have had some excitement for him to show up there, but it's like I was already so invested in disliking this movie that, but like, there's no way that would have hairpin turned it around. It would have been like, oh, that's cool. This movie still sucks.
It would have been like, woohoo, I'm kind of excited that Michael Jordan. It's gone.
Yep.
Like that scene in Fight Club. I got it. Ah, fuck, I lost it. That's really That's really, I think, where it would have gone. But Michael B. Jordan actually is. I think he does good work.
Oh yeah, I love him. Yeah,
I mean, he's been in the occasional like cheese film. Without Remorse was a little bit cheesy, but I still think the acting he did was skillful. And I'm kind of pissed off that they only had him in here for just a couple minutes to be a little bit extra, and then just pushed him out. I was like, for the love of God, please. Like, and you know what? I'll bet you he only agreed to do the film so he could meet LeBron James in person.
With the way that so much of this was filmed, they probably never even met each other. This was all just green screens, and it really felt like that too. Like, that's another thing too, is like all of the entire half of the movie that is them at the basketball game, it really just feels like people acting in empty green screen studios. And like it doesn't have that excitement, or like it doesn't feel like a real environment at all. And that really made it feel a lot more cringy, where it's like it like no part of me like the movie magic wasn't there, where I felt like it's like, oh cool, I am watching this like basketball game go on here. It was like, no, I'm watching a bunch of people awkwardly stand in front of green screens, and it's like this feels bad.
Yeah, there really was none of that. And like, I mean, and if I'm understanding this correctly, and just to clarify for the viewers, like, I think when Ty says it felt like a green screen, there's movies where, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ty, if I'm misinterpreting, there's movies where that a green screen's being used, but it doesn't feel that way.
Yes,
because
the actors are able to sell it. They're able to actually perform in a way. Yes,
like like intellectually and experientially, as a person that's watched a shitload of movies, like, that it's a green screen, but you also, even after you recognize it, you still kind of forget, like Avatar, for instance.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff in Avatar where you kind of forget a couple of the moments where they are sort of imposing things and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like the fact that it's clearly a green screen, like there's no, like in the background during the cringy rap battle scene, you could tell that LeBron was just very much pretending, and not well. Man, I just, know what?
The great example for me, the end of Endgame. I've seen the pictures on set. I know that so much of that is green screen, but like during that scene, I'm never gonna. My lizard brain, doesn't catch that. I'm able to like turn off, have that suspension of disbelief, and it feels like a real environment that these characters are in and reacting to, and that there's actually something going on, versus the feeling of like this whole half of the movie was not at all that to me. It really felt like, these people are just awkwardly standing around. Like,
And like, it's funny because, well, if you're super awkward when there isn't a green screen, you're going to be way worse when there is one.
True.
And that's kind of a lot of what we saw. You know what I think I'm going to do?
What? Get a green screen?
That would be cool, but no. I've thought about it. I really have. I think I am going to care about basketball next season outside of Cool Shoes, because I think that I need to watch the entire NBA season next year so I can recognize this person is a basketball player and they're good at this. So LeBron can be redeemed in my eyes.
Do you have a team picked out? Who's going to be your team? You have to have like a team, right?
What team? I could just say Lakers. I mean, that's LeBron's team, but
Even Lee just said that already. Like, so Disney's gonna watch the Lakers. Yeah, sounds
Yeah, I
like
mean,
it. Yeah.
that's
Are the so I don't know much about sports at all, but I know that like in football, liking the Patriots is just kind of hated. Is that kind of the same in basketball? Where like, is there a team that's just kind of like the given? Where like, oh, you only like them because of blah blah blah.
dude. Not to make our movie podcast a sports podcast, but I think I'm gonna do that for a second. I used to watch football, like NFL was something that I was into.
Okay.
Then I realized how much of my life I was wasting on it, and then I stopped. There's just a lot of time and energy spent.
Yeah.
So I did find out. So apparently, the quarterback from the Patriots, Tom Brady, left.
Yes.
And when I was in the gym yesterday, I caught a brief glimpse of the subtitles on the screen because at the gym, for whatever reason,
He plays for the Buccaneers now. That's right.
Well, he's coming back to the Patriots apparently.
Oh, really?
And one of the players, I believe, in a social media post was like, "Oh, there's no welcome. Like, he's just coming back, and that's that." Like, I could go for. You know what? I'm getting Brooklyn Nets. That's who Kyrie Irving plays for. I just bought a pair of his shoes.
You got to pick the most like underdog team. Like, what's the team that it never has a chance, always gets beaten?
Is there like
worst team in NBA?
The Oakland Raiders were like the go-to for NFL for a long time for like bad teams.
I thought it was the Browns. Don't people always joke about the Browns? Like, haven't they never won a Super Bowl and all sorts of stuff? Like,
yeah, I think that the Browns and the Bengals like that are both Ohio teams, but I don't know. Like maybe the Browns. But I don't know. There were a lot of teams that were really bad for a long time. The Detroit Lions were shit for a while.
Dude, for multiple reasons, you just got to be a Magic fan. It's the Magic, man.
Oh,
the Magic.
I do have a pair of Penny Hardaway, a special version of the Penny Hardaway shoes sitting right over there. So I could do that. He played for Magic, right?
You also play Magic. There's that whole link too. Like it's just it works on multiple levels, man.
That's true. I love movie Magic.
True. Yeah.
The allure of the films.
Apparently, by stats, the Rockets were the worst last year.
Well, I like Utah Jazz because their theory confuses me.
I love that they're like that's one of the only singular team titles that they're always plural. You know, it's like it's the Bulls, the Rockets, the Knicks, it's always something plural, and I love that they're just like Jazz. I do love that, man. Like, is their mascot just like a seventh chord over something else?
Add 9, flat 11. Now it's a music podcast. Utah Jazz mascot is this is so stupid.
What is it?
Jazz bear.
What the fuck is a jazz bear? Is that a real thing?
It's a fucking bear. It's just a bear.
How does this make any sense?
Basketball jersey and shorts.
What? All right, hold on. What is the?
And it looks like a fucking raccoon.
What is the in-universe explanation that this makes sense?
In universe?
Like in their canon, how is the bear jazz? How did they make this make sense? I am so lost right now.
In Utah? Did you live in Utah for like a year or something?
Well, there for about 3 years. There, I mean, there are the Rocky Mountains there, so there are less bears than many other states. Not enough bears to write home about.
Well, it's like, well, we were going to do the Bears, but that football team in Chicago has it. So let's call ourselves Jazz, and then we'll have a Jazz Bear as our mascot. I don't
get it.
I feel like it was unavoidable that we weren't going to talk about basketball. I feel like that had to happen at some point in this.
I mean, I'm also just doing whatever I can to not talk about this movie because they're really like these are the least notes I've had for any movie this year. I was really not invested in this at all.
We've done a couple movies, I think, where we've really tried almost to avoid the film because of how fucking terrible it was. So, but I legitimately think I really might watch the NBA next season just so I can be like, okay, I need to see this person be good at something.
Just to redeem him in your eyes. That's funny. Yeah.
Like this, this oh, and also just on the subject, I don't want to be a marketing machine myself,
Mhm.
but um the shoes he's wearing at the end of the movie are exciting for people who like shoes because that was our first preview of the LeBron 19s.
Oh, really? That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
because I didn't recognize him, and I was like, "What the hell are those?" Because I thought he was. There's a couple of versions of his other shoes that were in movie posters,
Mm.
and I think they just did that for marketing. So the other silly sneakerheads, which I mean, I'm not a full on sneaker. I'm just a guy that really likes shoes. I'm not a sneakerhead necessarily. But the if I can point to them, hold on, let me see where my hand is. Those right there are the 18s,
Okay.
and they're the 19s look very very different. They're almost like this weird amalgamation of all the shoes that have come before. So I'm interested.
I've actually got them on screen right now. And it like if we need anything to show how obvious this is, the movie poster is literally like LeBron flying out of frame so his shoes are middle of frame. So it's like are
They
those the
may as
19?
well they may as well just like put like a big shoe there
Yeah.
and like do like a tiny thumbnail of like the LeBron James in the corner.
Yep.
You know, and I don't want to contribute to the marketing machine. I just happen to like shoes, and that was one of my. I was excited because I thought they were going to put him in several different pairs of things, and it
Mhm.
was going to be cool. I was disappointed. I thought they were going to do a little more of that, but they didn't. I do think that Dom, the son, he looked like he was wearing a variation of some of LeBron's old shoes, or maybe one of the like white posit variants from back in the day, but I'm not really sure. So like the one of the things that I was excited about in the film I didn't really get. It's like, oh
That
cool,
sucks, yeah.
he wore like a pair of Air Force Ones, and then I think cartoon LeBron had a pair of LeBron 8 V2s, I think, on maybe, but they were cartoon shoes, so I don't know. And then the 19s, and really it just turned into like them selling their new shoe. And that, I mean, I recognize like what's happening when I purchase a pair of like Nike shoes. Like I know that the brand is like some big thing, but like I don't collect anything, so it's not the same. But and then when I saw like the fact that and I've already talked about this, but I'm gonna say it again. When he lands in the cartoon world and the crater is a Nike check,
Yep.
I'm like, dude, really? Like I almost want to I almost want to sell all of my Nike shoes right now. Like there was a brief moment where I was like, I feel like I'm selling out.
It
Lee,
reminds me of that moment in oh fuck, what is it? Two Distant Strangers, where the dude gets shot and his pool of blood is shaped like Africa. I thought that was really cool because it was trying to say something, not like buy shoes. Like whenever the crater was a Nike swoosh, I was like, no part of me was like, oh, that's kind of like no.
So Lee, I think you guys actually say Nike in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard some of my
Interesting.
sorry, not sneakers, trainers.
Imagine people in England pronouncing things weird.
Yeah, it's strange. Well, I mean, like he and I were talking about this on my stream when he dropped by when I was doing Apex, that we have somewhat pretentious pronunciations. Fillet, they call it fillet.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's some of it's kind of silly. Like we're trying to sound classy. And it's like the thing that I realized about. So once again, not talking about the movie. If you came here to hear us talk about a movie, you come to the wrong place. Come back next week when we watch. What are we doing? Old next week?
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, that if you haven't seen the previews, that shit looks fucking crazy.
I'm sure even if I dislike it, I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot to say. Like this movie, literally, like
Yeah.
I am done and ready to move on to self reflection as soon as we're like, yeah, it's like there's nothing to fucking say about
Yeah,
this.
hold on. Let me see what else I can bitch about here. Oh, and Lee, to answer your question, yeah, Jordans are technically Nikes, yes, but they market it as a different brand. It's like Dodge in the US has Dodge, but then the Ram truck is now its own division.
Yeah.
You also, with the Volkswagen Golf GTI, it's just called a GTI. They don't put golf in there. It's just branding stuff. So Jordan gets its own kind of moniker, its own section on the websites. Like you'll see that Jordans are listed as if they're another brand, but they are technically Nike. So yes, you are correct. And most of them have the check on them. So Yeah. Once again, not talking about the movie. Thank you for helping us avoid it a bit longer. What else do I have to complain about in this movie? Okay, yeah, the she is the one thing when Granny does the Matrix stuff. Speedy Gonzalez was ridiculous. I didn't like it when they did the bullet time thing with him. I'm not really sure how he made it into the movie in 2021, to be quite honest.
True.
I don't want to sound like, like that guy, but I mean, come on. So did Bugs get deleted or did he actually die?
Doesn't matter because he's back. Just nothing can kill him. He's a tune, remember? So there's that.
Oh yeah, there's that. That's some weird. Yeah, okay. Nice nice way to hide from the plot. Okay, Warner Brothers, thanks for that. Also, I feel like maybe there's some deeper meaning that I'm not intelligent enough to understand that Rick and Morty showed up.
Yeah, in all fairness, it takes a really high IQ to understand the Rick and Morty cameo. So I if it's lost on you, I get it. Yeah, but you have to be really intellectually adept to comprehend why Rick and Morty were in this. Yeah.
Okay, because I've heard that, and I have on many occasions said I'm too dumb for many things. But I think that that might be the thing I'm the too dumbest for, was that. So I'll probably never understand it. I know you said something about the animation. How did you actually feel about Cartoon Brawn? Because I think it was silly.
It was fine to me. It didn't stand out as good or bad. It was just like it fit the environment. It was okay. I do think like there was enough bad stuff going on that it didn't stand out to me as something that was like, oh, I really don't like how this is animated. But it's like at the same time, it was not at all a point in the positive for me whatsoever.
I have a distinct feeling that maybe they either anticipated or experienced that LeBron would be bad on a green screen. So instead of putting live action him with the cartoon characters, they just made him animated too.
Possibly, yeah.
It was just a thought. I don't know for sure if that's like how it was done. I don't know if it was well, it was cheaper for production cost. They still spent 150 mil. So it couldn't be for production cost reasons. I can't imagine. I'm sure they had quite the budget. I mean, there's kind of a monolith, WB. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's about all that I really had. I mean, and I already complained about how they were heavy-handed on the life lesson thing. I think that there's better ways to, if you want to learn some life lessons or teach your kids some life lessons, there's better films than this. There's much better films than this.
Yeah, 100%. And just more entertaining too. Like I think that it's not like you're sacrificing the life lesson for like, oh, but it's super entertaining. It's like, no, it really kind of fails in almost every category to me.
One more thing. This is to your point before about this exists and the fact that this movie wasn't really anything without referring to other stuff. They even went so far as to put the Al G rhythm guy in Steve Jobs attire and put him in a makeshift Genius bar. Yep. And called it the Al G bar. Like it's just too much. Like what? Why? Like okay. If you have kids, just watch the original Space Jam, please. I said that in the Should You Watch, but just watch that. It's better. It's not a great film, but it's better than this. I mean, there's a better storyline. Okay, that's it. I think we've been done for a while. Like let's move on with our lives. Let's move past Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Well, we have to linger on it for a second more because we do have to. Well, I guess honestly 2 more sections here, 3 more sections. Yeah. What did Space Jam: A New Legacy teach you about yourself though? Do you have anything for the self-reflection section? I had to really grasp at some straws here.
Space Jam just reiterated the point that I definitely don't want kids.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I thought to myself, I don't. It seems stressful, like trying to relate to LeBron as a character in a film with a kid. The fact that if I have kids, I have to watch shit like this. Yeah. Not to say that there's plenty of kid movies like you're saying Shrek like out there that are good that you can actually get something out of. Frozen is not one of them.
Dude, let it go. Just let it go, man.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. I don't want kids, and I know for sure that I don't now. I had a pretty strong feeling I did not. It's 100%. So
if
sorry,
you like,
Mom, that's the last grandkid you get. None for me.
if you get a vasectomy and like on the reason card, like as you're filling out paperwork, you put like inspired by Space Jam: A New Legacy. Like this taught me I'm never having kids.
I think I might do that, and I'm gonna wear a pair of LeBron sneakers when I do it.
That's fair. I think he deserves that. Yeah. This taught me about myself. I think I'm gonna kind of almost echoing something you did a few weeks ago. I think it was during the fatherhood episode, but like this movie taught me how much I appreciate good filmmaking because I was able to see the contrast. Where it was like when I saw so many situations that was like, if there was anyone that really gave a fuck about this as a piece of art, they could have done so much with this, with the budget, with what they had at their fingertips. But instead, it's like we got something that was obviously like the marketing team as the writers, like, here, what can we do? And like, yeah, it really, like, as contrast, I forget some of the examples people use for like contrast stuff like that, but it's like when you see something that is like really, really bad, sometimes it can bring out the good in other things that maybe you've overlooked recently. And it's like, yeah, some of the other movies that we've watched recently where I was maybe like a little judgmental, it's like after watching something like this, it's like, I forgive you. Like, please just come back. Let me watch The Woman in the Window again or something. Like, it's
honestly, I would rather watch that than this.
Same, yeah.
It was too long. It was too long also, but it was at least, yeah, there was something a little bit redeeming in a couple spots in that one. And this one, it's really just a couple like ha moments and nothing else.
Yeah, I tried to like force myself to enjoy some of it too and have a good time, and it was like I couldn't. I really could not. All right, movie crush. I think there is an obvious movie crush here. I don't know who's gonna take the obvious route. I'm going first. I need to talk about this. So obviously, I think to me there's only one choice. My first crush ever, dude, Lola. That was back in '96. That was my original crush. And now, obviously, quarantine has hit her pretty hard. I understand that, like, we don't all look as good as we did in '96. I do have to say though, I mean, straight up, where's my image here? I do have to say though, straight up, never forget what they took from you. We had Lola on the left years ago. We ended up with Lola on the right. They did her dirty. They definitely did her dirty, but
you put some effort into this.
But yeah, she's still just a really fucking cool character in this, I thought. And with Zendaya voicing her, I thought that was kind of cool too. I'm a fan of that actress as well. So yeah, cool character. I thought Lola has always been awesome. Of course, like half of that I'm saying for the memes, but you know.
Yeah, and also she's a better Mary Jane, I think, than Kirsten Dunst was.
I will agree with that.
My opinion.
I will agree with
my
that.
opinion.
Yeah. What about
you? My movie crush, I thought was the most obvious one, and it's also kind of a cheat. It's got to be Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, he's a good actor that showed up, that should have been in the movie a little bit longer. Was my movie crush in another film where he did a good job, but it wasn't a great movie. That's that. That's all I got to say about that. It's Michael B. Jordan.
Pick. And that's a great cheat too, because like he played himself, so you don't have to do the like I'm picking a character. Like, it literally is just the actor. And that's a great pick, because honestly, like, he seems like he would be really cool to hang out with. He seems like even though he's like a mega star, he seems like he has a level head on his shoulders though. Like, he doesn't seem like he's little like.
Yeah, he seems like he's on the Chris Pratt level of like hanging out.
Yeah,
seems like he'd be cool.
I think that's a good comparison. Yeah, Chelsea. We've embraced the motto that Distance came up with a few weeks ago, where we waste our time so you don't have to. And yes, I will 100% agree that this was a complete waste of time. And if we can prevent you from having to do so, then I will think our time is well spent.
Yeah, please use the 2 hours for something else. Just watch the original Space Jam twice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
that's
a better use of time, in my opinion. Dude, like, all the sections for this were super hard for me to fill out. I mean, I guess movie crush was like, I felt like I had a meme that I could go for there that was pretty obvious. But like self-reflection, I really had to grasp there. And then favorite line, the dialogue in this was fucking horrible. It was really tough to pick out a favorite line. Like, but I do have to say, I think my line My favorite line, I think, really encapsulates a lot of what was going on with this movie, the production, the entire idea of it. Athletes acting, that never goes well. That to me, it's the truest line spoken in this movie, and it was even the man himself saying it. Like he knows that they did some of the self-referential stuff somewhat well. That was like a chuckle for me. There was like, okay, at least they get it. They get that this is like, but usually when pieces of media get that they're bad, they fully embrace that and they don't try to give it the frills as if it's something great. And this is where that movie really fell behind. Like we were talking about the plot. They didn't just embrace what they are, and they tried to go well beyond that, and in my opinion failed. But what about you? What's your...
They thought something was going to come out of it and it didn't. And it's funny because it's almost like they knew the whole time that this was a bad idea. But yeah, my favorite line is from the same, I guess we'll call it character. And I think it was a very like fun, like dad thing to say in the moment when it was said. Hey Siri, can you get us out of here? It's just like if your dad got stuck in the quote serververse, like that's probably what he would say.
True. Yep.
Which he's used to.
They reused the same joke later with Malik being like, "Phone, zap me in, zap me into the phone." Like,
that shit was pretty funny too, actually.
Yeah, like I mean, so that's like we're saying there are some, I don't want to even call them like redeeming moments because they do so little to like dig out of the hole that the film has dug itself into. It's like, but there are some moments that are not absolute trash. There were definitely some chuckles. Yeah. I even thought out of like a lot of the references were super lazy. I did think the Wile E. Coyote and Mad Max was kind of cool. That to me was like, oh, that's funny. Like there were some parts that was like, okay, this isn't horrible, but as a whole, like it is. It really
I agree. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And okay, yeah, you're right. They weren't really redeeming. They were just moments where I stopped banging my head against the wall for just a second.
And I wonder, like, as I was talking about earlier in self-reflection, I wonder, like, honestly, they may have just been super mediocre, but seemed good in comparison to the rest of what was going on there. Like literally like that, if that moment was a standalone YouTube short, I don't know if I would have liked it whatsoever. But the fact that it's like it came sandwiched between so many scenes where I'm sitting there literally face palming, it's like, oh hey, I get a break from the cringe. Like this, it makes it feel good by comparison. But well, guys, next week we are talking about Old, a new M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie, which I am... What is the last movie I've seen from him? What is the... I can't think of when...
I think the last thing I saw was... I skipped most of them. Dude, I think Signs might have been the last one I watched.
Oh, okay. I completely forgot about Split. And the... what is that trilogy?
Did he do Unbreakable?
Yes. Yeah, that's the trilogy. That was
the last one I saw then, was Unbreakable.
Unbreakable, Split, and then... Or Unbreakable, Glass, and then Split. Or which order was it? Unbreakable, Split, and then Glass. That's the whole... that's the trilogy, yeah.
Yeah, Unbreakable was the only one that I saw, and I actually liked that one a bit in comparison to the things that came before it. Mm-hmm. But there's a bunch of Shyamalan I skipped. I think after Signs, I think Unbreakable was the only one that I watched.
So you've never even seen Glass or Split? Dude, if you like Fassbender, his performances in that, where he, I mean, like it won't spoil it in any way, but he plays a character with a split personality disorder, and he plays like 20 some different characters in the movie, and he's so good at just switching between these characters like at the drop of a hat. It's really cool just for his like acting. Yeah. Just for his acting prowess, it's actually like really cool to see. Yeah. I'm sorry. Holy shit. No, I'm getting him mixed up with McAvoy. They're in those X-Men movies together. Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's James McAvoy. Same thing
British
though.
Guys in X-Men.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, they're all the same. It's the same actor. It's like, yeah, them, Hugh Grant. It's
Fassbender is the one that plays the new Magneto, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why I was getting them mixed up, but yeah, but either way, for I guess if you just in appreciation of acting though, it is kind of cool to see what he does in those scenes and how he's able to just kind of completely switch really quickly like that.
And I do like James McAvoy too. So I mean, I like them both. So yeah, I will check that one out actually. I trust your judgment.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, I haven't seen, looking at his other recent things, like he's worked as an executive producer on 2 TV shows, one called Servant, one called Wayward Pines. I haven't watched any of that. His last major movie was, I did see Devil. Did you ever see that one with the people stuck in the elevator? Yeah, that was apparently M. Night Shyamalan. He was, okay, so I'm looking at his credit as producer. He was one of the writers, but he wasn't like the director or anything. His last directed movie was before like Glass and Split. What is The Visit? Oh my God.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull him up real quick so I can.
The Visit with the 2 young kids that go visit their grandparents, and it ends up being like, that was actually kind of interesting. Okay, I didn't hate that movie.
I haven't seen that. Devil was, The Happening was garbage.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
The Village was Signs was Okay, well then The Village was more recent than that. I didn't realize that he produced Devil. Devil was like a semi-shitty movie that I found enjoyable.
Yeah, I didn't hate Devil. It wasn't great, but he did do that. Like I think we're avoiding talking about it, but the last Airbender movie that was god awful. He was a producer for that as well. He was director. Why did you say that? He was director too. Oh yeah.
Why did you bring it up? Why?
I had to. It is my job.
You knew that neither of us wanted to. Okay, it's fine.
It's my job.
All right. I'm glad that you didn't take the easy way like I did. I respect you for that.
I do have to say, with his last 3 like major credits as far as writer and director being Split, Glass, and The Visit, I enjoyed all 3 of those. So I feel like his track record for the past few movies has been decent going into this. So I have I don't want to say like great expectations, but I'm optimistic going into this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in here that, just a couple people in here that I really like. I love Rufus Sewell, I think is how you say his last name. Mm-hmm. Gael Garcia Bernal, like I like him a lot too. Yeah, I've seen a couple of his movies. I think we talked about him when we talked about the our schedule. I think I mentioned him. Mm-hmm. And Gustav. Is Gustav Hammerstein? Dude, I think he was in Bruno.
He was. He definitely was. Yep.
He was great in that. Okay, there's quite a few people in here that I'm actually excited to see in a film.
Yeah.
And as long as M. Night Shyamalan, oh God, he did some writing.
Yeah, he is.
All right.
I think he's the head writer, honestly.
We'll see. But I mean, of all the films, Rufus Sewell, I loved him in A Knight's Tale.
Yeah, he according to the writing that I'm seeing written out, the writing crediting that I'm seeing here, he is the only actual writer on the screenplay. The other 2 names I'm seeing are the writers of the graphic novel. Apparently, this is based on a graphic novel called Sandcastle.
Oh.
Which I did not know until today, but
well, hopefully they adapted it well.
Yeah, which usually happens. I mean, I like a lot of graphic novel movies. Those are a lot of times.
We've almost paid more attention to our next film than the current one.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be a lot better. Yeah, it was honestly tough for me to find things to say about Space Jam because, like, sure, it's fun to like make fun of a movie and all and call it bad, but it's like if I'm trying to actually like the self-reflection section, that was tough. It was really like I was so checked out that it's like, yeah, this movie didn't really teach me much other than I checked out so bad.
There wasn't even enough there to make fun of it.
Exactly. Yeah,
we didn't have much to go on.
Yeah. Well, folks, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you were watching this on YouTube and you've enjoyed our discussion, please hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date with the show, and comment below and tell us how much you hated Space Jam: A New Legacy.
If you think that one or both of us could possibly act better on a green screen than LeBron James, or if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest in a future episode, please join our Discord. The link is in the description below. If you want to catch me on Twitch, I'm distance_x. Watch me anytime you want. I don't have a schedule yet. We will be live here next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TylaTV.
Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope we all, myself included, hope we all have a great week.